Hello, everyone. We'll just wait for a few seconds to let everybody join, and then we'll get going. Okay, I guess let's get started now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on new markets, new margins, growth opportunities in wide format inkjet. I'm Nitya Caleb, editor at Annex Business Media, Canada's largest B2B media company. And I'm here as your host on behalf of Print Action. Before introducing today's panelists, I have a few housekeeping details to go through. First, I'd like to thank our sponsor, SwissQ Print, who helped make this webinar possible. To our participants, if you're watching along with us, the audience is in listen-only mode. We will be taking questions throughout the discussion, so feel free to drop a question at any time using the Q&A button on your Zoom window. We are recording today's session, and all registered participants will get an email with a link to the recording in the next few days. With that, I'd like to welcome our panelists. Carla Johans is the CEO and Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Simpson Print. She has over 20 years of direct experience in the industry, driving innovation across all print media. From design to post-press, she has transformed her organization to integrate the most versatility and response to any print challenge. Carmela Martinez is the CEO of MP Repro. Under Carmela's leadership, MP Repro has successfully transitioned from a traditional print production model to an automated Industry 4.0 enabled on-demand print business. She is passionate about innovation and excellence in printing and constantly seeks new ways to improve processes, products, and customer satisfaction. Kevin Graham is Sales Territory Manager Canada for SwissQ Print. He has been selling wide format equipment since 2008. Kevin actually represented SwissQ Print through distribution from 2012 to 2018. And from February 2019, Kevin has been responsible for the Canada-wide sales for SwissQ Print. Thank you, panelists, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we know wide format printing is changing, and for decades, inkjet was used for short runs, while screen and offset printing handled the larger runs. But now that balance is slightly shifting due to technological advancements. So I want to start off on that front first. And of course, audience, if you have any questions, feel free to pop it up, put it into the Q&A, and I'll pose the questions to the panelists. So Kevin, I want to start off with you first. What are some of the most transformative technological advancements in wide format inkjet printing over the past few years?
And technology keeps getting better. You see print speeds keep increasing, print qualities keep increasing, and the capabilities of all of the different wide format presses just keep getting better and better. There's more capabilities within each press that to serve different markets that are in demand for the wide format printers.
Go ahead.
Nope, sorry.
Sorry, I thought I interrupted you.
Nope.
As a print service provider, what technological advancements have been exciting and specifically in the wide format inkjet market?
So what's really opened up our product offering is all the special effects and the special inks that we can use now on our presses. So for example, being able to do gloss or matte spot varnishes or spot UV simulation, textures, 3D printing, using white ink, using a much wider range of inks, and that's really been an amazing progression because of the innovation and advancement.
Thank you. Carla, what has been your experience? You're on mute, Carla.
I would echo what Carmela just indicated. We have, as our legacy business is screen print, and we continue to integrate multiple different platforms: screen inks, digital inks, UV offset, and small format digital. I think more than ever, it's important for our brands and our partners to be able to demonstrate that we can print matte, UV, reticulating, tactile inks, any embellishments that achieve success for the brand. So I definitely agree with Carmel.
Thank you, Carla. Now, my next question is, and perhaps Camilla, you can start us off on that. How is automation reshaping production workflows in wide format printing?
Well, certainly it increases capacity. So with the same equipment and the same team, you can do more. But it's definitely helped with standardization of processes. It's obliging standardization, less downtime. And what I truly appreciate is the reduction of lost time and lost material. So the waste that happens when things are not optimized.
That's great. Thank you. Carla, what has been your experience?
Automation is critical for our organization. We're in an extremely diverse market. We are more than one printer. We need multiple devices. So it's very important that we feel like a 24-hour operation for us, for our clients.
That's great. Kevin, I know you're a printing supplier, but in your conversations, what have you heard?
Yeah, talking to a lot of end users, there's so many different levels of automation, whether it's on the hardware side or on even on the software side, specifically pre-press, and how quick that customers are now able to automate jobs coming in and getting it to the press. I feel like that automation process has increased substantially over the last few years, and has improved substantially, sorry, over the last few years. On the equipment side of it itself, there is an automation that is a fit for a lot of people, but isn't a fit for everybody. And where the software side is definitely something that all shops should be considering.
Yeah. And with artificial intelligence now in the picture, there's lots of opportunities and there's lots of changes that we're going to be seeing, right? In terms of the technology that's available and options that's available for print service providers as well.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Carla, do you think, does it have, what kind of an impact all of these technology changes that you're seeing and this idea of making, machines that are printing faster, making access easier to the market. What if impact does it have on labor and the time used?
I would say that automation dictates every decision our organization makes, from who and how we hire in every department. Print production wide format is not a standalone siloed operation. More than ever, it is reliant on pre-press and design intelligence, and that is driven by software. So it particularly impacts not only the front end, but I would say the post-pressed end and your die cutting and your Zun cutting, how you're nesting, how you're continuing to drive those efficiencies. But how and who we recruit and evolve as an organization depends on software currently more than hardware.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Kevin, what have you been hearing?
Yeah, very similar to what Carla is experiencing. I mean, the reality is if you're not constantly looking at the new technologies and AI, if you're not keeping up to speed with that, your competitors are,
Yeah.
and you'll be left behind if you're not constantly at least keeping up to speed what's available and what you can do. I've heard of some shops that have completely gone to a AI for their pre-press. And so where they used to have a full team, now it's reduced the number of people involved, and it's more one person just kind of managing the AIS software. So it's yeah, so from a labor perspective, there's definitely some changes that are going to happen in the market. Um, but how efficient that is to me is yet to be seen. So
Oh, okay. Love that score, that dose of skepticism, because it's so
yeah.
yes, it's really that reality check is so important. Kamala, you have multiple presses.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that you've done is focus on automation and Industry 4.0, right? Really bringing
Mhm.
those things up to life in your company. So what's been your experience?
Well, the impact on the labor, on our staff and employees has really been remarkable in the sense that we've removed some of the repetitive, maybe lower value tasks and made the work more interesting. So, and we've seen a interest by younger, younger candidates who are, they don't, it's breaking the reputation of like a dirty industry, when, you get your hands dirty. This is now much more digital, cleaner, more interesting. So it's actually been, I think it's a necessary thing to automate in order to be able to have access to the
Good labor pool.
good labor. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes. I just want to remind our participants that if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box or in the Q&A, and we'll be happy to address them. So I want to talk a little bit about some emerging market segments. Now, in your experience, like all of you are in the market and constantly talk to clients. So, what are some of the emerging market segments that offers the most promising growth opportunities for Canadian printers within this space, within wide format? Carla, Camilla, do you want to start off? Kevin is probably anecdotal, so I don't.
Yes. Do you want to take that, Carmela?
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I would say the traditional markets for wide format are driven by in-store signage, brand, retail programs, display, and small and wide format temporary packaging. I do believe that currently, globally and particularly, none of us can escape the reality of North American uncertainty. And with that said, our organization is pivoting away from, or not putting all of our attention on focus on what fueled our growth during the COVID era. We are starting to hear, it's not hit our bottom lines, but we're definitely starting to see a reduction in marketing budgets and a stabilization. There is there's still opportunity in the new era, and those who pivot and are agile, I think, will continue to sustain and find those new markets. I believe, going back to Carmela's introduction comments, I think specialty embellishments, the Surefoot, the tactile printing is going to reemerge, less high volume. And on our side of the business, industrial label is explosive right now, which is not the sexiest part of our business, but very much all the UL labels have driven and migrated, for the most part, from screen to wide format.
That's interesting. And is there any reason why, is there any reason why you're seeing that explosion in industrial label right now, Carla?
Well, I don't know if it's politically correct to say this
Okay.
today, but I would say that our US business is growing again. We were always traditionally 70% US, 30 Canadian. During COVID, it became precariously close to 50-50, and now we're seeing quite a bit of expansion again. And it's a good challenge to have.
For sure, yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Camilla, what's your experience been like What's
Well, I can validate that the industrial label business is busy because we have the same, we work in the same sector. Definitely where we're seeing opportunity is in the high-end, personalized, customized, special print. And that's the type of equipment we have, so it really works well. So we go after, we really adjust based on customer demand, and whatever comes our way, is always the indication of what's possibly coming in the future. There's a lot of interesting movement in the decor, interior decor, but also corporate or institutional signage, wayfinding decor that can include murals. So there's quite a bit of opportunities out there to be had.
One of the things that I've been having discussions recently on the in-store marketing sector within Canada. And one of the things that constantly people have been telling me is about how brands and companies are looking at the footprint that they have as a showcase. So
That's
there's a lot of emphasis and stress on using printed materials to elevate and enhance their brand. So even though at one end you see retail footfall falling, but you still have this huge emphasis on branding, which is a big thing for us as printers.
That's right.
Yeah. Kevin, I want to get your thoughts on this. What are some of the growth opportunities that you're highlighting to your customers?
Where we see the most requests right now is surrounding the different wayfinding and tactile opportunities out there. It goes back to your early question of what's changing and what's emerging in the market. And now with our printers being able to print wayfinding and braille and have the versatility to support the industrial label, the in-store signage, as well as the wayfinding and tactile print. There's a lot of shops out there that have a printer for tactile. They have a printer for their industrial label, and they have a printer for their, in-store signage. And where now you can really, with the versatility of print technology these days, you can kind of replace all of those technologies with one individual press. Reduce the amount of footprints in your shop. Also, your carbon footprint, only running one press versus running multiple presses to be able to do that. So I will say that anyone that we're talking to now at SwissQ Print, a huge component of what they're looking at is incorporating that tactile and wayfinding signage. That's exploding for us right now. And I always say that 5 years ago that business was done in a different method, and so what your business is looking at today, 5 years from now, it's probably going to be very different as well. But the ability to have one press that's versatile enough to go through and handle all of that is a huge advantage.
That's great. Question to Carla and Camilla. So there is this need from consumers, from marketers for textured paper, for great finishing. Do you get enough? Do you have a challenge in finding innovative substrates or inks that allow this to happen? Is that a challenge, or is it easy?
I don't know if Carmela, we still have screen print, 2 lines that are at about 70% capacity, 5 days a week. We use it for white ink. We use it for spot color. We use it for UV Sunfast clear coat applications. We are finding we have to warehouse simply because of the Canadian market shrinking and shutting down offices. In terms of material and substrates, we dabble in both roll and sheet fed. We are looking overseas for new opportunities, but currently we have absolutely no challenges securing. Our business is very much known for our substrate savviness. We're really not a paper shop. Our principal movers outside of rigid board includes acrylic and wood to drive our fabrication side of the business. But for us, there really is no challenges. However, on the purchasing side, we are definitely looking outside of North America.
Okay. Camilla,
Yes.
would you want some innovation in ink or substrates? Little more than what you have right now?
I think it's both is good. Because some substrates are challenging to print on. Their ink adhesion issues, or there could be all kinds of little things. There's less and less of that problem, but there's still work to be done. And we have access to quite a bit of substrates, and actually we do have a small silk screen set up at our place, but we're not that. But we are, also very substrate, like lots of inventory and lots of different types of materials. But what's been interesting for us to look at different architectural materials that are used that now could possibly be printable. So materials that would have been used for partitions or for covering surfaces, now we're actually able to print on them. So I think that's to look in different areas or different sources of material, not necessarily through the regular distributors.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
There are a couple of questions that I want to address before we move on. One is, could you please give an example of an industrial label? Would Carla or Camilla want to comment on that?
Well, I can take that one. So an industrial label is pretty much a sticker that you see on equipment that you may purchase. They could have serial numbers, they could have the specs on an equipment, on a machine. Like it could be depending on the standard, whether it's UL or CSA or what are the other ones. So they're very not sexy labels. They're pretty much I could be a logo, a branding, information about equipment, danger, like health and safety type stickers. So that's it.
Thanks, Camilla.
Mhm.
There's another question. Maybe Kevin, you may want to. I think you may feel comfortable addressing this. The question is there any help from AI to deal with the heavy weight of 16-foot and 11-foot rolls of banner material, and to overcome frequent errors which result in two-sided signage getting printed head to foot instead of head to a head?
I don't know if there's anything AI that supports that. I'm sure there is. From a pre-press standpoint, a lot of that is handled by the equipment manufacturer as well. So I know that like SwissQ Print, our roll to roll, we have processes in place for two-sided registration on up to 10-foot wide banner. So I think a lot of that is more on the hardware side than AI, to be honest.
Makes sense. Thanks, Kevin. My next question to the panelists is, how are customer expectations driving innovation in wide format printing? I know we touched upon it. We talked about special effects. That's driving. You're seeing some innovation on that front. But are there any other customer expectations? I mean, I'd love to hear any examples that if you can share. I know you all have confidentiality clauses, but if there's anything interesting, case studies that you want to share, it'll be lovely to hear. Carla, do you want to kick off this discussion?
Well, customer expectations drive every decision we make daily and monthly. They're the reason we exist and survive and drive the multiple solutions we execute. So I would say the ability to own and automate your niche to ensure that you're not just a siloed print provider, but ensuring you've got bookends on the front end and on the back end to really drive complete consolidation and solutions. So it does require an enormous amount of investment, capital, and process, and a commitment to the process. So really, it's not. I don't believe customers. I would say prior to COVID, it was a North American race who was the quickest to market in store. I think now clients are a little more shall I say, forgiving and open to working with vendors who are demonstrating not just speed to in-store logistic commitment, but the ability to, add more ingredients into the deliverables, whether that's portal automation, whether that's co-packing, whether that's warehousing, whether that's design, rendering, and quality for us. And I'm sure everybody on the panel, and certainly with why we're partnered with SwissQ, is completely non-negotiable and as important as speed to market. So I think all of the above.
That's refreshing to hear, Carla, because it's for the longest time, speed to market has been one big thing, right? That's what
Yeah.
everybody was aiming for. But now to hear that no, clients are interested in quality work and value-added services, that's very refreshing and encouraging. Kamala,
No client wants commercially unacceptable assets in store or on the wall, or outside or inside. It's how you navigate those expectations. If you want to be identified as we're going to be the first to get this out 24 to 48 hours, then that's your mindset. But you better back it up and commit to, I would say, a little more than commercially acceptable real estate or graphics.
that's great. Kamala, what has your experience been?
Well, the experience we have with all the kind of Industry 4.0 automation we've done, it's really touched a lot what we call the on-demand printing. So we simplify processes, make things easier for the clients, and then they order as they need. And it just becomes a very nice repetitive cycle, even though the images change, the artwork changes. So simplicity is a big one, and being able to request on demand and have a reasonable or short turnaround depending on the request. So that's really been my experience with the innovation and customer expectations.
That's great. Kevin, what have you been hearing?
Yeah, it's really, we've seen a shift in the last few years, and it really touches on what Carla mentioned, where in the past where where I lost deals to clients because they wanted that how fast and how cheap. Now they're seeing more of their clients coming in demanding higher quality. Um, and a lot of that goes back to we're constantly evolving in that wide format space where, we recently launched neon inks where really expands the color gamut to hit multiple more corporate colors and the ability to do so. So any color critical work now it's going to those presses that have the extended gamut capabilities, and customers are more quality conscious than they have been in the last few years, that's for sure.
Yeah, one of the things that I did hear, from the academicians is how critical expanded color gamut is going to be. Like if you're going to be launching a press, then it better have some an expanded color gamut. Otherwise, it's not really helpful for the printers. So that's important to know. There's one question here for Carla or Camilla about what AI automation are you using in your business today?
We're looking at
automation, I think. Sorry, Carla. I just want to make sure I was clear. Yeah.
We're very focused on hyper exploding our MIS system, which is very robust. Software, again, in AI is only as good as the people who engage and practice it and engage with it daily. But for us, if we're not automating in every silo, every department of our workflow, then we will be left behind. It is impacting for us the front end, which is, the 24 engine that really drives what's happening on press and in production. So for us, front end automation is 100% our focus.
Okay. front end for Sims and Carmela. Is that, do you want to share something on this?
So in addition to the workflows we have, software workflows we have to optimize, the effort is also in the pre-press to be able to automate and using artificial intelligence to do that. But where it's helping us a lot is in all the coordination, planning, scheduling, making sure that everything's optimized because we have multiple machines. So this is where actually we're going to be putting a lot of effort to make it easy for everybody to see what's on the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
So, Kevin, I want to go back to you. You mentioned neon inks. Now, what other materials or substrates are playing a role in expanding the capabilities of wide format inkjet? And I just want to add a little caveat, another question to that too. Like, where does sustainability come into the picture? I mean, is it influencing the technology choices? Is it influencing business strategies for your clients, Kevin, as well as their clients as well?
It's both. I mean, I mean, ultimately, everything is driven by Carla and Carmela's customer base to what, the industry wants and what the industry needs. And, again, going back to that constantly evolving, adding different color capabilities to be able to hit more colors and more Pantones and different features that it really have never been able to hit on a digital level. Is something that we're always striving to do more and do better, and a lot of that is driven by what we hear in the market and the feedback that we get from our customers.
Okay. Kamala, you mentioned, the capability of printing on substrates that you couldn't print before. Similarly, other materials or other innovations that's making, helping you expand the capabilities of your offerings, and again, sustainability. I mean,
Right. Well, the client definitely drives us to look for sustainable options, and certainly in selecting equipment, we look at that. We look at the inks, we looked at energy efficiency and all that. But in terms of products and substrates, we're really looking for non-PVC materials and recyclable materials or materials with recycled fiber that can stand up to outdoor applications and projects that need to last, because that's really where sometimes the problem is.
yeah.
So it's right now we're in kind of research and testing and making sure the performance is there. So we're combining that, finding new substrates that perform well, that respond to client requirements for sustainability, for to be able to recycle. Anyway, so that's definitely very current on my mind right now.
And there is an active need from clients for those. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll jump in here for a second quickly,
Yeah,
Nithya, too. I mean, SwissQ Print, we are constantly testing new materials, and that's both from an end user and from different manufacturers as well. So, for example, if Carmela came across a new material that she had never tested before, if she sends that material to us, we're constantly, how do we make this material work for the customer? Same thing, if we hear from a manufacturer that, hey, we've got this new product that we want tested, our team, both in the US and Switzerland, are constantly testing and giving feedback to these material manufacturers to dial it in so that it is acceptable for digital printing.
Yeah. And I guess for you, Kevin, the thing for SwissQ, the advantage is that you're both in Europe and North America. So the different regulations that's there, I mean, even though it might be mind-boggling, but there's an advantage because you're exposed to both continents' regulations, and that gives you an advantage when you're testing materials, right?
Yeah, it does. Sometimes the materials differ from the North American market to the European market. So we are pretty diligent on testing in kind of both facilities. But we have an open forum that our customers and our support team can constantly be in communication about where the process stands for testing new materials.
That's great. Carla, what's been your experience like from client expectations?
On the sustainability front, SwissQ for us is a leader on that. They have a very visible dashboard. Our clients on both sides of the border are asking for more documentation, more visibility on complete emissions, noise, pollution. The UV LED technology for us is part of that response in our sustainable commitment for our clients. Because it is a reduced carbon footprint. It's not continuous UV lighting. So sustainability is actually one of our core values. And I'd say we're pretty savvy, and we're looking at, we're always educating our partners on, it's not just about the end product, it's we as a manufacturer are going to be leaders in reducing that carbon footprint. And the reality is purchasing decisions and purchasing and the decision makers of today and tomorrow are getting far more intelligent, and they're far more educated on recyclable content and not just, is it blue box friendly? So yes, for providers like myself and Carmela, it's our eyes are open 24/7 on best practices and best solutions for clients. And I believe that those who do commit to that will secure long-term partnerships.
It's great to hear that, because one of the things that's been happening within this whole huge North American uncertainty climate that we are all in right now is that a lot of climate mandates we're giving up on them, or we're slowing down on that, not necessarily in the printing sector, but across sectors. So would you say that your clients' expectations are still there? I mean, they haven't diminished? I see Carmel.
I'll jump in on that. Yeah, more than ever. And I actually, just based on my experience, I actually, it may not be a favorable opinion, but my observation is that there's more advocacy for the industry south of the border. Yes, there is a different administration, but there are very active lobbyists. It doesn't matter what your political stripe is. They're unwavering in their commitment, to protect the industry. While it's very decentralized state to state with Black Carbon Inc. And, there's so much ripple effect in Canada with what is being regulated, not just in Europe, but definitely south of the border. Will that change? It's a moving target, but no, clients, I think it's critical. It's absolutely critical to the wide format industry at large.
That's great. Kamala, I guess you concur with Carl.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And I also would like to say that just a number of SMBs, small, medium-sized businesses in the print industry, there are across Canada, that if we each do our little part, the results will be exponential. So, this should really be something we all work together on to lower carbon emissions, reduce carbon footprints. Just do any little thing that can help. Will it be exponentially important for everyone? So,
yeah. And I think if we can champion that cause, why not, right?
Yeah,
if we
absolutely.
can take up the mantle, of course, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Kevin, I have a question for you, and this is about, what are some strategic investments that you think printing companies should be considering so that they stay competitive in this wide format printing sector?
Yeah, I think it goes back to looking at the versatility of the different printers. Not only what your business is today, but where do you see it going in 2 to 5 years? And does that platform offer you the ability to service those markets, or to upgrade the current system to be able to service those markets as well? And to plan it, because when you're looking at any of these any decent equipment, it generally takes 3 to 4 months to get that on your floor.
Yeah.
So be proactive instead of reactive, and plan your next purchase so that You know, you're not making a quick decision based on equipment being down and buying the wrong equipment because it's currently available.
Yeah, that's true. Camilla?
Well, I would add that, being in wide format print doesn't mean just having a printer.
Yeah.
It means having all the other pieces of the puzzle for cutting, finishing, and even ahead before printing, all the pre-press. So the investment strategically has to be across that and not just about the one printer on its own.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm.
So versatility is important.
Mm.
And I mean, I guess to a certain level, speed to market as well. Carla, what advice do you have? What should they be considering if they're looking to invest?
Exactly what Carmela said. You can't just invest in digital wide format without knowing how you're going to drive the post press, the die cutting, the computer cutting, the laser cutting. So it's a complete investment. There is no standalone equipment. So I echo 100% what Carmela said there.
So it's a whole package that you look at, right? Not just the press, but it's the
Absolutely. Yep.
workflow and the finishing as well, and the post press and the pre press as well. That's great. It's always tempting when a new technology comes into the market. It's always tempting you're always tempted, right? And there's this fear of missing out as well in terms of applications that you can offer your clients. But if it's also expensive. So how can print service providers balance cost and as well as the need to innovate and diversify the offerings? Carla, do you want to start off on that?
I think they have to. I think that cash flow is king in our business in order to allow us to reinvest as often as we do. This industry does demand again, not just the hardware, but the software. Then you combine and factor in the service partnerships. That's equally crucial. Having the right daily maintenance and preventative and driving that consistency. On another side of our business, we have a completely different device. It's on its 13th year and it's almost new. It's almost as robust as SwissQ in terms of consistency and performance. So in addition to that, for small emerging entities, of which there are many, I think my best advice is build great trade relationships. There are it's great to collaborate with our competitors. None of us look the same, and working together to drive synergies only benefits the customer in the end.
Okay. Just giving you a moment. You looked like you were thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking of Carmela and Kevin agree with me.
I do, yes.
Well, let's ask them. Camilla?
Sure. I would just add that you have to know what you're good at. And based on the equipment you have on the floor, that kind of defines what you're going to be good at. And that's where the margins come from. But it's also important not to be stuck in just that, because innovation and diversification makes you more future-proof, as things evolve and as clients' needs change. So it's a very, very, there's an equilibrium necessary. You need to have your margins protected, but you also have to be investing in the future. So that's.
So Kevin, when you sell a press like SwissQ Print, which is definitely, I'm not going to mention the number, but I'm sure it's expensive. It's a huge investment. Now, what do you tell your potential customers? Because this question must come up, right? The need to balance cost but at the same time be available to offer your clients and be in a position to enter new markets as well.
There's a couple factors that I talk about. I mean, ultimately, SwissQ Print, we're known for our reliability, and that's kind of where I kind of focus that time, because anyone that's talking to SwissQ Print, generally we're not their first wide format device, so they've had a history of working with other devices, and and there's costs associated with downtime and reprints and all of those factors. Those are hard to put into a spreadsheet when you're selling new equipment. So I'm really banking on the history of those. So Swiss Q Print's done a really nice job with um, doing global studies on our mean time between failure to a point where a technician needs to be on site is over 24 months. So we are an extremely reliable press. Um, and really that's what I focus on when talking to people is that really uptime is crucial for getting your jobs out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is important, reliability. Like, for example, we've had companies that just go bust. Like in Europe, we had a couple of companies that just went
Mhm.
bust. And so what happens to sales and service support, right? After sales support for those companies with those presses, what do they do with those presses? It's a real issue for them. So it's important for sure. Now,
Yeah.
my next question is, what advice would Carlo, Camilla, give to business development leaders who are looking to reposition their wide format services for future growth?
I can go on that.
Yes, Camilla.
So, well, the easiest thing to do is just see what your existing clients, what their needs are, and if they're buying if they're buying print from someone else, so you can easily reposition yourself to be able to supply what they need, and that will lead to, maybe having to invest in equipment that does what
Yeah.
clients are looking for. But repositioning also takes leadership. You have to be visible. You have to be able to uh, tell people what you can do. And, with the aid of social media and digital marketing, there's all kinds of things that can happen. So it's, repositioning is definitely possible, but it requires many different angles to get to do that.
Absolutely. Carla, what do you think? I mean, if someone like, for example, if you've been traditionally a commercial printer and you're trying to get into this market and trying to reposition your brand, what advice do you have for them?
Well, I would say that on the wide format side of print, as its own standalone entity, there's commercial wide format, and then there is gluten-free, 7 grains whole wheat wide format. And you absolutely require some resilience, perseverance, leadership is absolutely correct because there's 157 variables. It's not always rinse and repeat. So I think you need to have some grit and tenacity. It's one of the most challenging and demanding markets, I believe, but it's not for everybody. It's you really have to dig in and you have to, I would say what Carmela said is, define what you're good at and build from that one brick at a time. Have a 2-year plan. You're never going to have a 4 or 5-year plan since COVID, but have a 2-year plan. Find out what excites you. Speak within the community. There's so many of us that are, it's important to have mentors, advisors, great partnerships. That's how you learn. You just can't live in an office. You have to be seen to be relevant and to be visible in this industry because it changes. It changes. It's fast. It's furious, and it's always evolving.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin, in your experience, I mean, when you must have come across companies that are looking to enter this business, this sector, and trying to reposition. What advice have you given? Have you shared, or what do you think would work for them?
I'll echo what Carla said earlier. The first thing I always tell them um, is to find a trade partner and to build a book of business. And generally, if we're having that conversation, I've already talked to them about all of the advantages of Swiss Q Print, and I help them build an ROI to the point where if they get to a certain dollar value of stuff that they're outsourcing, then they know, okay, well, if I'm doing this amount per month, now I'll know it's worth it for me to bring it in house. And what I generally do is I introduce them to customers of mine with Swiss Q Print so that they get accustomed to the color consistency, the print quality, and the reliability, so that when they do decide to implement their own system, that there's no change for their customer base as well. So going back to what Carla said, the best thing you can do to get started is really to start working with a specific trade partner with the equipment that you want to target in the future. So that way, there's an easier transition for you in the future when you go to bring it in house.
That's great. Thanks, Kevin. That's a great segue to my next and final question, which is how can company owners and C-suite executives evaluate ROI when transitioning from traditional printing methods to, to wide format inkjet and think you're picking up a new press, like say Swiss Q Press. You did mention a little bit on how you help them calculate ROI, but is there anything else that you share with them?
Generally, when we're talking, there's a reason that we're talking, whether that's they've had inquiries from other people or they're starting to outsource some work. So really, it's on a kind of a customer by customer basis. It's hard to really say specifically, but all I would say is that reach out and talk to people that have that equipment, and there's tons of experts out there that are willing to share their knowledge, whether that's on the end user side or on the equipment sales side. Or the media sales side. There's so many people out there that have been in this business for a long time that can share their knowledge, and that's where it starts.
That's great. Camilla, what would, how do you think people can calculate ROI?
Well, there's one element that needs to be included in the calculation is the longevity of the investment, the equipment, the printer, for example, and how long will it be performing optimally, and how can it get upgraded, and can there be no retrofits? There's all kinds of things that happen when versions change and you don't want your printer to not be able to work. And so if that equipment can last much longer than it takes you to pay the loan on the machine, you've got your ROI to buy it, So I think that's very important. And there's an aspect also about investing in equipment that will differentiate you from your competition. And that's what's going to help your ROI. So, offering something that is different will, bring you those clients that are looking for that different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Carla?
Someone once told me, or maybe I've heard it, I've definitely heard it in my sphere of influence, put it on the floor and it will grow, build it and it will grow. I am 50% of that belief, but I think it's as simple as both what Kevin and Carmela both alluded to earlier. It's understanding material, ink, labor, and 100% how your service and maintenance of that equipment is going to endure with the retention of your new client base. It's that simple.
Yeah. And it all boils down to strategy, right? Business strategy. Like, what's your vision for the company and how you're taking it forward? That's great. Well, thank you so much. I just want to wait and see if audience, the people who are listening and have any questions. I want to give them a few seconds if they have any final questions. I know if you want to reach out to Kevin, I'll put in his email ID so that you can reach out to him if you want to reach out to him. Well, I guess we all talked ourselves to silencing everybody. Well, thank you so much, Carla, Camilla, and Kevin for your time today and for your insights. I also want to thank our sponsor, Swiss Q Print, for their support in putting together today's webinar. A reminder to all the audience members that a recorded video of this presentation and discussion will be emailed to you over the next few days. Now, before you leave, though, Please share your feedback about this webinar in the survey that will pop up after the broadcast ends. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nithya. Thank you.
Bye.